Hi friends, and welcome to class. Today we're going to use Pilates to lengthen and strengthen through the side body. We're going to use a few props to help us with this. So we're going to grab our foam rollers, our TheraBand, and a magic circle. So grab your props and meet me on the mat. All right, so we're going to begin by kneeling and holding our TheraBand in our hands. We'll take the arms outstretched in front of us about shoulder height and the hands a little wider than the shoulders. We're going to offer our shoulders a mild stretch first, taking the arms around and back behind us, and then repeating that to the front and just going through that a few times, making your way through some really feel good movement in the shoulders. So you're not asking too much just yet, but you are enjoying some stretch. If you're not, you might narrow your hands or widen them on the band if it's overly intense. And then we're going to take the arms back to the high position and then draw down on the left side. If you're kneeling, you can connect your hand to the mat. If you're standing, you're just going to draw down. And you're going to land in a side bend, and you're going to let the top arm fall into tension a little bit, but keep some tension on the band. And then draw your heart open towards the sky and draw your top arm and heart forward and down. Just creating a nice little arc through the side body and then spinning it into rotation, offering that whole side of your body from your sit bone to your wrist, a big, long, feel-good stretch. Okay? And then take that back through the center and over to the other side, landing the hand on the mat if you're kneeling. Standing is also good. And then take that turn into that tension and let your ribs sort of spiral around your central axis, and then turn and open towards that sunshine. It's warming me right now, and turn down and just breathe. Keep that breath flowing. Let it nurture you as you move. See if you can feel it create more expansion on the inhale, just a big opening, and then more ease on the exhale. And then when you're ready, we'll come up and back through center. Take the band in just your right hand. Let it hang behind your spine. Let your other hand come from the back around and find the strap. So you've got a connection between your hands, and then you'll walk your hands as close together as is comfortable, letting the right elbow fall into position near your midline. Your left elbow comes in towards your midline as well, and then we're just going to breathe and stretch. See if you can keep your head back, even a little activated, pressing the base of your skull back into your top arm, and roll the left shoulder, your lower arm, down and back. And then we'll release the lower arm first, and then the top. Switching sides, we'll take the left hand overhead, hang the band behind you, and then find it with your right arm tucked behind. Spin your right arm internally, and your top arm is in external rotation. And then creep your hands together. Watch out for hair and uncomfortable strain in the shoulders, so let it be as mild as it needs to be. Let that top elbow fall in towards the midline bottom as well. And breathe, pressing your head back into the arms as they connect to your head. And then we will release. Let the bottom arm unfold first, and then set your band to the side. Come into an all fours position. We're going to start sort of sideways on the mat. So you're going to have your mat stretched out to the left and right, and then position yourself in a nice wide hand position and narrow knee position, and then lengthen out through the spine. We'll take a couple of cat-cows here. So you're going to round on the exhale, and then inhale into extension, curling the tail under, lifting the bottom ribs, and reaching into extension. Do that a couple more times, and again, let your breath really nourish your spine, nourish your movement as you flow from position to position. And that invitation is so that your pace really can match your breath. You don't have to force your breath to come into your body at any particular speed. Just let it flow and let your body follow along. And then find your way back to neutral, and you're going to step your right leg out to the right. I'm going to come a little forward for this, but you can stay just as you are. And then we're going to take our Hands up to our hips and come up to our high kneeling position. From here, we're going to stretch the arms out to the side and side bend towards that straight leg. Giving that left side some more love and adding into it this beautiful stretch to the inner thigh. And then come back to the top and then come over to the left, land your left hand down and side bend over to the left. This is a long arc from left ankle to right ankle to right wrist. And then we're going to come through that in each direction a few more times, flowing from one side bend to the other without lingering overly long in any position, but enjoying all of the goodness from side to side. And one more in each direction. And then from here, we're going to take that top arm long stretch and then float the arm and leg. So you're in this long side sort of plank position with your body in a long line. And then we're going to take our spine into our cat-cow, bring the elbow and the knee together. So we're rounding and then extending, reaching the heart forward and open. And then again, draw in and reach out. One more. And reach. And then land the right foot and we'll cartwheel all the way back up to the top. Let's place the hands on the mat. Pause there a moment. Take your right hand about center of the body, right where underneath your sternum, and then reach your left arm up to the sky and twist open to the left. And then set that left hand down, draw the right knee in, and we'll take the second side. So you'll step your left foot out to the left. Walk your hands to your hips. Come all the way up. Reach your arms wide into the sides, and then side bend over to the left. Breathe. We're going to flow now all the way over to the other side. Reach the top arm long. Take that big breath into the left side. And then keep moving. Side stretch. Flowing into side stretch. And again, let your breath create space on the inhale and ease on the exhale. And to the top one more time. And then into that side plank. Pause here, reach the top arm overhead, and then float the leg. Take another breath for space. Exhale, connect, pulling your abdominals back, in and up, and then reach and stretch out. Exhale, gather in, reach and stretch out. Exhale, gather, and finally reach, land, and then circle to the top. Bring your hands to the mat in front of you. Walk your left hand into the center. Reach your right arm up to the sky. Twist and open. And then circle your hands back to the mat. Draw your knees in together. And we'll just round the spine to come up to high kneeling. Let's turn now to one side and bring your roller to the mat. You're going to take it in front of your thighs. A little bit further out. We're going to position the arms straight and long overhead as we find the sides of the hands, the pinky finger side of the hand, and then just slide your heart forward as you fold into this sort of bow position, and allow for a moment your heart to really sink between the arms so you got this sort of sling to your spine, and allow that to stretch you in the ways that feel good. And then we're going to press into the arms, press down to bring the rib cage up so it lives right in line with the arms and spine. And then we're going to press into the roller and round the spine, bringing us into our cat stretch once again. And then inhale, reaching the heart forward, we'll come back out, but again, no longer allowing the heart to sink below the arms. Press into the roller, round to come up. And inhale to stretch out and feel into the elongation of your spine. And rounding in and rolling out. And then bring the roller underneath your shoulders and bend the elbows to arrive on your forearms on the roller. So you're in an all fours position with that additional elbow position folding into a forearm position. So we're going to sink and lift our heart, letting the chest fall and rise in a similar way to we just explored with straight arms. It's our sternum drops. We're using it to warm our shoulders and also to discover them. So see if you can just sense them for a moment, letting the experience of those shoulders come really to vibrant life. Feel that part of the body, occupy that part of the body. And then rising up, feel how your elbows go deeper into the roller as your heart lifts off. And that combination of down and up creates this really holistic connection through the shoulders. Then we want to pull the shoulders down away from the ears and continue to hold as you move the roller just a little bit. Let it be really small, but keeping the downward energy of the elbows and the lifting up of the heart. And then there's this dynamic power. So we're active in a way that's really strong, but it allows movement. And then we'll bring the roller once again right underneath the shoulders and just take your right leg back. Float the foot and reach the heel long. Keeping the heel reaching, also reach the left sit bone towards the heel. So you've got both sides of your waist really long. And then we're going to take the leg and just tap and lift. And we'll go for 8. Keeping the shoulders nice and wide. Keeping the heart lifted. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bend the knee. Slide your arms out overhead. Give your body that first position, that bow position. Elongating through the arms. Releasing some of that energy around the shoulders and stretching out. And then we'll press into the roller, bring it back underneath us. And take the other side. So sink one time, lift up. Slide the left leg out long, and then we'll lower and lift that leg, tapping the mat, reaching your right sit bone towards your left heel, creating space on both sides of the waist. And 3, 2, 1, land it down, stretch the arms overhead. Let it be nice and stretchy this time. If you'd like to sink a little bit into that stretch, you're very welcome to. And then we'll roll the roller in towards us. Position it under or in front of your thighs. And we're going to come down now onto our thighs on the roller. So you'll position your forearms on the mat. And just as we practiced a moment ago, we're going to push the elbows into the mat and lift the heart up. And that's going to be a constant as we massage the tops of our thighs with the roller. So you'll roll forward and back, giving the quads a good massage. You can play with turning the heels in and out to get different surfaces. And we're going to turn the heels together to the left, and we'll get more pressure on the outer left thigh, the inner right thigh. And then try that to the other side, heels to the right. And then try all of this with the knees bent. And while bending the knees, let's sway the heels to the right. And you're going to get more into that outer right thigh and inner left. And then sway the heels to the other side. And we're going on to the outer left quad and inner right. While doing all of this, just observe if you have a tighter or more tender zone and give it that extra love. And then come on back to the center. Once you're centered, we're just going to make sure we're comfortable and have room. And then find your elbows again. Push into the mat, lift the ribcage up. And then we're going to flex the spine, lift the bottom ribs and round to bring the roller towards the elbows. And then come back just to neutral. And again, pushing down into the elbows, lifting the ribs, coming into that flexed spine, really moving the vertebra in the back away from one another. Those little stegosaurus spines in the back of your body. And one more time. And again, feel the elbows reach forward, the ribs draw back, creating space between them. And then come back to the start. Let's land the knees down. We're going to back ourselves up, find all fours, and then we're going to climb over the roller so that it's underneath our shins. We'll take the roller down near the ankle and then come back to our forearms. You can clasp your hands, reach the elbows into the mat, really lift up, and then we're going to take our spine and lift the bottom ribs. So there's a little bit of a dome to that part of the spine, lifting the bottom ribs and moving them away from the elbows. And then from here, lift the abdominals, stretch the legs out towards straight. Keep the bottom ribs lifted. Lift them more to pull the knees back in. We'll do that again. And from this point on, you can land the knees each time, or you can keep them off. We'll go for a set of 8. If you want to rest sooner, go right ahead as well. So reaching out, lifting the ribs, pulling in. Lifting the ribs, lift the ribs more. So there's never a moment where you're not, but you'll find there's plenty of moments where you need that extra lift. Maybe 2 more. Bring it in, rest. When you are ready, you'll rest and add in the child's pose, letting your arms stretch out overhead. Your rib cage rest on your thighs. And then walking your hands in towards your knees, coming up through all fours. We're going to come back over the roller again. And we want it right underneath the shins. Hands on the mat in front of the knees. And you can be sort of passive here and roll your shins. That's first phase. And then we're going to back up a little bit, get the knees towards the roller, and then place your hands nice and wide, as in an all fours position. Lift the bottom ribs, push down through the heels of the hands, and then think of lifting your shins off of the roller. While you may not actually achieve that, we're going in that direction. Lift and roll. And now we have much more of a sort of work challenge to this same massage for those shins. And 3 more. Push down to lift up. And then release. And down. And back. 1 more. And then rest. Land your toes. And then take your roller out from under your knees. And we'll come back to the mat. Let's set the roller out in front of us. And then lie down on your tummy. We're going to first take action in the lower body. We'll come back to the roller. So you can place your forehead on your hands. We'll reach back and take a stretch. We'll reach for the left ankle first. And just pause there for a moment. Breathing, restoring, giving your pelvis an extra bit of weight, pushing down. You might find your glutes narrow the knees towards one another. And reach the left knee long. And then kicking your foot into your hand, let the left shoulder float back. Let your heart rise up. Kick and rise. And then release. Switching sides. Find your right ankle, narrow the knees, press your hips into the mat. Sending your knee out along the left leg towards the big toe. And sending your right foot into your hand as you kick. Let the shoulders stretch back. Hips become heavier. We'll rise up and then lower down. So now we're going to take our roller in that overhead position and then outstretch the arms over it. Palms facing in, shoulders at ease, and then we'll let the shoulders roll up towards the ears and then back away. This doesn't need to be a big movement. It's just, again, a little bit more of discovery of where your shoulders can be, how much possibility there is. So we're going to let the shoulders come down without cramming them down. Let the shoulder blades kind of fall down around the rib cage so they're not pulled together away from the mat, but really allow them to wrap around the rib cage towards the mat. And with that, press into the roller, reach your legs long, press your pubic bone into the mat, and then start to glide the heart forward while pressing into the roller. And then let it come back down without losing that energy. So you're pressing into the roller in both directions. Reach into the heart in both directions, anchoring the pubic bone again in both directions. We'll go again 3 times, really active through the back of the body with the pubic bone heavy to keep the low back from bunching up. Only rise as high as you feel comfortable there. If your low back is starting to speak up, you've maybe come too high. If you can't dial your glutes on a little bit more, and roll down one more time. This is why we stretch our quads first, so that we have access to our glutes here, but if it's not happening yet, that's okay. We got plans for that. Go ahead and lower down. Take your hands to the mat, and we'll push up and back. Take another child's pose here, and really release into gravity. Breathe into the back, meaning let it expand and stretch with your inhale so you can feel some of the movement there. And then we'll slide into high kneeling. And we're going to transition into some hip openers on the roller. So what that means is we'll lie on our backs with the roller underneath our knees to begin. So you can follow me here to your back. And then once you're there, you're going to lift your hips up and bring the roller underneath the pelvis, and then let the hips come down to rest. From there, take your knees into your chest and make sure the roller feels like it's secure. You can hold on to the ends and let your breath flow in and out for a few moments. Just, again, as if in that child's pose. Letting things between the rib cage and pelvis, all these muscles that connect the two, can be some of the main contenders for back tightness and spasm and general discomfort. So we're allowing them to soften and relax here. Then we'll keep the left knee in, reach the right leg up, and then let the straight right leg fall into gravity. Pull on the left knee to give it a good counterbalance to that right leg, and let that stretch unfold over the course of the next few breaths. If you feel nothing, you can play with moving your left knee out to the left, right leg can fall a little bit over to the right. Point the feet, flex the feet, notice how that changes your stretch. And then take your right foot and bend the knee, placing the foot on the mat, right underneath the knee as if in a bridge. Let's see, do I have my TheraBand here? So if you can, grab your TheraBand. If not, you can just hold on to the back of your thigh. You're gonna draw your left sit bone down towards the right knee. Keep your right knee drawing in towards your midline. So for both sides of the body. If you have your TheraBand, you're gonna wrap it around the left foot, somewhere around the ball of the foot. And then from here, you're gonna hold on with a good amount of tension, and we're going to start with the pelvis. Tilt the pelvis towards 12 o'clock. Reach the left sit bone towards the right knee towards the left sit bone, and then anchor your shoulders and elbows towards the mat if your band is in hand. If not, the back of the thigh will totally do. And then you're going to stretch that left leg towards straight and bend and repeat. So we're in a constant stretch for that right hip, opening on the right side, the hip flexors, and on the left, we're flowing in and out of a hamstring stretch. But the real magic is in where your pelvis is in space, keeping it balanced. So reaching the left sit bone towards your right knee, even as your leg straightens, where things get more sort of drawn into resistance, inner resistance. So left sit bone towards right knee, and then reach the leg long and keep it long. And we're going to lower the leg and really feel how your right leg supports this. You're going to tuck the tail under to keep the pelvis from moving on the roller, and then float it back up and repeat. Reach and lower. Inhale to the sky. And last two. And last one. Now we're going to make a circle. You're going to take your leg across your midline, down and open to the left. 3 in each direction. And then pause at the center and reverse. Feeling still that right leg nice and active. And then at the top, pause, go ahead and bend the knee in. Draw your right leg in, and we'll just set the band aside. Feel the difference in your two legs, and then we'll switch sides, letting the left leg stretch first, long and away, falling into gravity. Again, let your stretch kind of open over the course of several breaths. Moving your hips and thighs in whatever way creates the best stretch for you. And then point both feet and flex both feet. Notice how that shifts the stretch. And then bring your hips to level. Reach your right sit bone down towards your left knee. Bend the left knee and place your left foot on the mat. As you find that position, again, you're trying to really elongate the right side of your waist, and then feel the entirety of your left footprint on the mat. We're going to gather the right foot into the band and reset all of the cueing. Right sit bone down, left knee staying in towards your midline. The left foot really strong into the mat. That footprint is heavy and full, so you're not adding extra weight just to the outer foot. And then as you exhale, stretch that leg towards straight. Inhale, exhale, lengthen. So again, the challenge is while you straighten the leg, can you keep reaching that right sit bone towards your left knee and keeping the left knee in towards your midline where it might want to sort of escape and fall open to the left. And then once you're lengthened next, we'll hold and reach and lower. Inhale up and reach out to lower. Try to keep the pelvis tilted towards 12 o'clock. Use the left leg to help you with that. And the ribs sinking down. And then we'll take the leg from high over the midline down. Way out to the right and up. And 2 more. And 1. At the top, pause and reverse. Circle and bring it back. 1 more. And then back to the center, where we will release both feet and place, let's bring both knees first into our chest, feeling hopefully a little bit more mobile and sort of soft and easeful in the hips, and then land your feet down. And then take your pelvis and really tip towards 12 o'clock, ribs heavy, and then stamp your footprints into the mat, left, right, center, and then float your left leg in a tabletop, lower it down, heavy on the left footprint, right foot floats. Again, stamp deeper to march. you'll push into the entire foot. And then bring the left leg up, bring the right leg up, bring your knees together and stretch the legs up to the sky. We're going to inhale the legs towards the torso, exhale, send the legs down and away. Inhale up, exhale, lower. As the legs lower, concentrate on the ribs sinking down. Add to that your shoulders pressing back into the mat, your inner thighs and glutes helping to open the hips. And last two, and last one, and then bring it in. Bend the knees, and let's land the feet down. From here, hips can come up, and then we're just going to walk the feet right onto the roller. We're going to take our feet to parallel, and then arms long by the sides. Press the sides of the arms into the mat, and then take a nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, we're going to curl the tail under and peel up into our bridge. Breathe in at the top. Exhale, curl the tail under and roll back down. And again, let's tip and peel and be mindful of the rib cage as your shoulders press into the mat. Can you keep the rib cage from sort of bursting forth? We're going to keep it sort of low to the ground as the hips come up. And then as you hold the hips up high, start to melt the rib cage down, asking for that part of the spine between the rib cage and the pelvis to move a little bit more. And again, tip and peel. Ribs remain heavy. Pelvis lifts towards the sky. Breathe in and exhale, roll back down. Now take the knees open. You'll roll to the outside of your feet. And you can just move the roller out and in a few times. Just a little rocking in the hips. And then we're going to hold the roller in and do a little rocking in the pelvis, tilting 12 and 6. And then from here, the 12 o'clock tilt can be enough if that's what feels reasonable to you. If you have the sort of inner, if this feels good through the whole body, you might tip the pelvis and lift up, bringing the hips into a bridge, and then roll back down. So again, a 12 o'clock tilt is enough. If you're feeling that extra gusto, you're going to curl the tail under and roll up into a bridge and then roll back down. We're on the sides of the feet. And again, and then roll back down. And then we're going to come back to the center, bring the knees together. Feet are going to stand a little bit wider. So we're now in internal rotation, spinning the thighs inward. We're going to take our next bridge up and at the top hold. Connect into your shoulders, sink your ribs a little lower, tilt the tail a little more, and now move the roller out and in just about 2 to 3 inches in either direction, maybe even less. Spinning the knees together, working those inner hamstrings, inner thighs, inner glutes. Last 2, last 1, and then roll it down and rest. Let's keep the feet on the roller and find your magic circle now. If you need to, come on up and grab it. That's true for me as well. So to reset as we were, we're going to have our feet on the roller, and we're going to use the magic circle to support our head. So you're going to position the inner padding against the base of the skull, and then take your hands to the opposite side. From here, what I'd like to revisit is how we started class with our elbows on the mat, at least one moment in the beginning of the class. And see if you can feel your hands first pressing into the ring, and then combine that with some elbows reaching forward into the space in front of you. So the elbows pull the shoulder blades with. The shoulder blades are going to come with the elbows around the rib cage towards the front, creating a hammock for the rib cage that's going to help to support it. So when you're ready, you're going to nod your chin just a little bit, and then continue to reach the elbows forward, and sort of feel how that just carries your rib cage right up off of the mat. We're not moving the whole thing off the mat, but we're going to get a little movement through the spine, and then lower back down. Again, pushing the elbows into the ring, the hands into the ring, the elbows forward in space. Let that support the underside of your rib cage, and just like some very friendly, strong hands, the shoulder blades lift the rib cage up. Or you can imagine a little sling, a hammock from elbow to elbow that slides under the rib cage and around to the other elbow and just carries it up. Okay, from here we're going to add movement. So you're going to press, reach the elbows forward and rise. Let your head rest into the ring. Sink the bottom ribs a little deeper to come a little bit further up. And then we're going to inhale the legs out. Exhale, pull them in. Inhale away. Exhale, pull to center. And again, feel your ribs sink as you draw the knees in. And one more. And then roll back down. Once you have rested, take your hands the opposite direction, so the palms are going to face down. You can pull from the outside. Same action through the elbows. We're strengthening the wrists on the opposite side. So you're going to take a nice deep breath in on the exhale. Send your ribs down into the mat, elbows forward. So it's like you're creating that space again between the elbows and the front ribs. Now we're going to inhale here, exhale out. Inhale to bend the knees. Exhale to straighten, sink the ribs more. Draw your rib cage deeper into the mat. Elbows reaching forward. 2 more. 1 more. And then lower down. Take your ring from that position and reach your arms to the sky with the hands pressing into the sides of the ring. We're going to take our knees bent, and a squeeze on the ring is going to take the chin nod, ribs down, and we're going to reach forward and up. Inhale the legs away. Exhale, pull the knees in and reach the ring further out with a squeeze. Now we're going to add rotation. Inhale out. As the knees come in, reach the ring to the right and center, and ring to the left and center, and reach. Reach. One more each side. And reach and center and lower down. Take your legs long. Take your right foot into the ring. Give your hamstring a stretch, reaching that right sit bone down towards the left foot. Pull the leg in close. From here, let's bend the left knee, bring the roller in underneath you, and then as you're ready, you're going to exhale, stretch the right leg down and away, and lengthen the left leg out long over the roller. We're combining 2 movements. At the top, inhale, pull your heart up towards the sky as your shoulders stretch back, and then you're going to curl the tail under, roll back, and as you do, bend the left knee, come all the way down. Stretch that right leg, and then kick and roll up, and lift the chest, and reach to roll down, bending the left knee. One more time like that. At the top, pause, lift the foot in the ring. You can keep the hands here, or you can take your left hand to the inside of the ring, or your left forearm, depending on the stretch that you're getting in your hamstring on the right. You're gonna take your right arm up to the sky and turn open from the ring. So you're either holding on with your hand or your forearm, reaching back, and then circle the hand back to the ring. Give yourself support from both sides. We'll roll all the way down and rest. Before we're done, take your right leg across your midline and stretch that right hip and IT band. Draw back on your toes and then come center. We'll switch sides. So you'll flip the left foot up, right foot down. Reaching through the heel, Reaching through the left sit bone, stretch that left hamstring. And then bend the right knee, the roller coming with. And as you exhale, perhaps you can even push down into the roller as you send the left leg down and away. Lift the chest, rise up, heart to the sky, shoulders back, and then press down into the roller as you bend the knee and roll all the way down. So we're, if possible, trying to access the back of that right leg as we move through and stretch to our spine and rolling back down, bending the knee as we come in. And one more. As we come up, reach the heart high to the sky, stretch. We're going to turn to the left so you can hold with your hand or your forearm, lift the left arm up and turn open and back. Circle the hand around to the front, connect to the ring both sides, and we'll roll all the way down to the mat. From here, we're going to take the ring in our hands, knees bent, and we're going to take the ring with a strong arm, connecting inward from under the armpits. Reach the arms back, and on the exhale, we're going to reach the ring forward and roll up, letting the roller roll away from our hips. Stretch up and over, and then squeeze the ring, bending the knees, rolling back, pressing into the sides of the ring, and repeat. Inhale, exhale, rolling up, stretch over your thighs, lift the bottom ribs, bending the knees, roll back down, squeeze the ring. It's like a lifeline. It's going to give you a little extra sort of inner strength if you use it. And again, one more time to the top, and rolling up, and rolling, reaching forward, and then roll up to your high seated spine. You're going to take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, roll partway back, and we're going to add our rotation in again. So you're going to take your ring to the right as you bend your knees, and center, ring to the left, and pull in. So you can keep a pressure on the ring and feel that connect you more deeply to those obliques that you're using now. Last one left, center, and roll down. Oh, take your ring. Actually, we're rolling up one more time. And that's where we're going to pause. You can set your ring under your thighs or anywhere else that makes sense, and place your hands on the mat behind you. You're going to set them up so that your palms are down and your fingers can be wide or back or front, whichever suits you best. You're going to start with the shoulders rolling back, lifting your chest, and then from here you're going to curl the tail under. Some of you might just pause there. Others are going to continue up into your reverse plank, and then roll your hips back down. Again, shoulders back, heart to the sky, tip the pelvis and press your hips towards the sky. Keep your eyes on the horizon, looking towards the sunrise, and then lower back down. Just one more like that, pressing your hips to the sky, lifting your chest, but keeping your ribs heavy, and then rolling back down. Take your arms forward, stretch towards your toes, breathe into the back body. Okay, let's take the ring and bring it with us back to the mat. You're going to set the roller out of the way. I'm going to take your knees into tabletop and place the ring between your ankles. Okay, and then from here, actually I should move a little bit. We're going to make sure we have room overhead, and then we're going to take the ring, just let your knees bend and rest. You're going to take your hands down to the back of your head and then stretch your elbows wide. Let your elbows slightly come forward. They're not going to narrow a lot here because that can sometimes connect us into our chest muscles more than we want to. So we're going to keep the elbows wide, but reaching them forward in the same way that creates that hammock from elbow to elbow that comes under your rib cage, your low ribs, and sort of hovers it up. And then in that position, you're going to keep practicing that breath into the back body, sinking the bottom ribs on the exhale and floating perhaps a little deeper. And then add to that on your exhale, lengthening of the legs. Bend on the inhale, exhale, straighten. As you lengthen next, hold and take your next exhale and tip your pelvis towards 12 o'clock. And back to center, not going to 6, just to neutral. Steering from your low abdominals, feeling a zip from your pubic bone up to your belly button. Bend your knees, lower your head and shoulders down. If this is causing any strain in your low back, rather than having your hands behind your head, you can bring your fingertips into a little diamond under your tailbone. It'll help keep your low back from arching. Otherwise, carrying on, you're going to set up in the same way, elbows wide, and then forward, sling under the the rib cage, and then sinking the ribs to roll up. Take another breath, use your exhale to straighten the legs, and then turn the wheel of the ring. Bring the left foot a little closer, right leg a little further out, and then rotate your head and heart to the left, and then pelvic tilts here. Same idea, just a little twisted. Last 2, last 1, and then switch. Roll the ring to the other side, right leg coming towards you, and then twist your body, your upper body to the right, and pelvic tilts. Bottom ribs heavy. Last 2, last 1. Center, bend the knees, rest down. Take your feet to the mat. Place your ring between your inner thighs. Then your feet a little narrower than the wide knees. And then take a nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, squeeze your ring, curl the tail under, peel up into your bridge. Reach the arms overhead, stretching out long, and then roll all the way down. Inhale, open the knees. Exhale, squeeze, curl, and reach. As you reach through the fingertips, reach your knees out over your toes. Keep that reach as you roll down. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze and curl, peeling up. Reach again through the knees, through the fingertips, and roll down, and then release. Take the ring and set it to the side. Let's roll now to our right side and come to a position where you can support your head in your hand and get into a side lying position, drawing your top sit bone towards your heels, and then spin that top knee towards the sky, offering those glutes that little extra wake up. And keep going, thinking about the abdominals all the while. Soft through the shoulders. And then let's pause, bring the feet up, and then continue. And then from here, we're going to take the knees apart and hold. Let the heels connect while the toes stretch away from one another. And then you're going to maybe anchor your top hand on the mat, and we're going to squeeze, ditch the roller, squeeze your heels together and straighten the legs. At the very end, point the toes, and then flex the feet, pull in, stretch the heels out, and then point, flex, and bend, reach, squeeze, and point. Keep going, letting your feet get really active here and mobile. Point, and then peel the toes back, reach, point, and peel. 2 more. And 1 more. Reach, point, and hold. Take both hands to the mat. You're going to rise up into a side bend banana with the turnout. Keep the heels together and lower down. And squeeze. And release. And again, reaching long through the body from your head to your toes. Can you get longer? Can you feel your breath enhance the spaciousness of your body? And then exhale, connect you into some ease. Last one. And then lower down. Take your hands and forehead to the mat while you turn to your tummy. Pressing your hips into the mat, squeeze your buns, float your legs, and squeeze your heels together. Giving them a nice strong connection from the tops of the thighs down to the heels. Lifting your bottom ribs and stretching out long still through the legs. And then pause, release, rock your hips side to side and head on over to the other side. Starting out with your clam shells. So you can support your head in your hand, stack your hips, reach your top sit bone towards the heels, and then go ahead and open and connect. Starting with phase one, just to wake up those initial layers. And then we'll go a little deeper by bringing the feet off the mat and then adding that larger range of motion. Feeling each time that opening to the inner thighs creates space for us to move into. And then we'll open and hold, pull the heels together and the toes apart, and then squeeze your legs together, point the feet at the end, flex and bring them back in. Reaching out, these long frog legs, swimming gracefully through our little pond. And reach and stretch. 2 more. Feel your feet here, really active through the ankles and toes, and then reach and stretch. Both arms assist on the mat, and you're going to rise up into your sort of turned out banana, your froggy banana, and lower down. Reach and rise, getting long through the whole body, feeling into those side connections along the waist and down the legs. Inner thighs, 2, last one, and then rest. Come to the center of your mat on your tummy. Once again, place your hands under your forehead, unless you prefer a different position. Bend your knees now. Bring your heels together, knees and toes apart. Press your pubic bone down into the mat. Squeeze your heels and press your heels towards the sky. See if you can make sure this is really a balanced action of down first and then up. So your up doesn't arch your back, it works your glutes. So you're pressing your pubic bone down, reaching through the heels, and squeezing those buns. Hold in the squeeze and just squeeze into that with little tiny micro pulses, bringing out a little bit more balance and power. 3, 2, 1, and rest, legs long. Take your hands to the mat, push into an all fours position. In your all fours position, just reset a moment, and then take your knees wide and your hips back towards your heels without rounding. Let your pelvis kind of sit back towards your heels. And then if it feels good, you can lower down into more of a restful child's pose position. If you are limited in knee flexion, you can tuck your roller or a cushion between your thighs and your calves to allow you to kind of rest into this a little bit more. And then coming back up to all fours, let's take the knees together and the feet apart. Lift the tail, actually, lift it and draw back over the heels. So your tail tries to stretch back here, and then lower into a similar resty child's pose-ish position. Breathe for space, breathe for ease. And then when you're ready, we'll come forward again to all fours. And we're going to take the toes tucked under and make your way into downward dog. So make that comfortable for yourself, stepping into the right distance for your hands and feet, elongating the arms and letting the shoulders glide into place down in the rib cage, and then stretching the legs towards straight, lifting the bottom ribs and reaching the sit bones to the sky. Bend one knee, stretching that calf on the opposite side, and then switch. And we're walking in place, keeping the hips level to start. Then what I'd like to invite is more movement in the hips. So you're going to let the left knee bend, say, for example, and let the left knee and hip drop towards the mat. So your right hip gets a little extra attention in that stretch. Switch sides, right knee and hip sinking, left hip is high. And maybe go a few times through that yummy sort of oscillation. And then we're going to take the right foot up and back. And then we're going to move into our pigeon stretch for the glutes stretch that's available there. If you want to do your figure four, you are welcome to do that instead. Bringing the knee to the mat just in front of the right hip, we'll go ahead and wiggle our way back into a stretch that offers that right glute some big stretching energy, sinking into that hip, breathing. You can stay lifted, which is a nice sort of layer to the stretch, adding some depth by sending gravity down into it, but it's also just as well to roll over and rest in front and on top of that thigh, so you get that extra sort of ease invoked here. Both are good. Savor and spend time in either or both positions. And then as you're ready, we're going to transfer to the other side. So you'll come into toes tucked under on the left, reach the right leg up and back. And then we'll reset, stretch the left leg up and back. And then bring that knee forward and land it on the mat just behind your left palm. And then we'll wiggle our way into our stretch. High or low or both. Find your breath. Use inhale for length and space. Use exhale for ease. And then as you're ready, we'll make our way back to our downward dog. Take your toes tucked under, stretch the left leg up and back, and then bring it home to the mat. From here, we're going to just land the knees back down and then reset to high kneeling and turn to the side once again, back where we began. Okay, so you're going to make sure you have enough space to move, and we're simply going to stretch the right leg out long again. Now, in this position, our sort of the ways our body will sort of compensate for the challenge or the stretch is by folding at the hips, right? So our torso might feel like it's leaning forward or our hips are folding back. So we're going to counter that by bringing the hips forward and letting the spine sort of lift up and over the pelvis, adding a little depth to that inner thigh stretch and openness to the right side. And then see if you can also bring your rib cage back over the pelvis. So you get that core work and glute work that helps keep this connected in the low back nice and long. We're going to take the arms long to begin with, and then side bend over to the left without touching down, and then come back up. So we're adding in a little side sit up to our previously kind of flowing stretchy movement, and that's sort of the entry point for it. If you'd like to advance the challenge a little bit, you can bring your hands to the back of your head, and if that causes you any strain, come back to arms wide. Let's also press the head back into our hands and see if we can keep bringing the ribs back in line with the pelvis. We're going for 2 more. And 1 more. And then side bend all the way out. Land the left hand down. Take the top arm long. Again, invite that big side stretch, and then turn with both hands to the mat. Pivot on your right knee and step into a plank. Hold there and breathe. Push the mat down to lift your ribs up. And then take your right leg and bring your knee to your nose. Stretch the leg back. And again, round knee to nose. And back. One more. And back. Let's land the knees down. Drop the hips back. Take a breath in, your child's pose. Rock forward. Come back to your plank. Take your right knee down. Pivot on the right knee. Transfer your left hand high to the sky and all the way back up to high kneeling. Pull your right knee in. Sorry, I did say I'll have to remember that. I cued you on a different side than what I did, so we'll see how this goes. Make sure you're feeling it on your second side from this point on, just in case I say something that isn't accurate for your body. So you can bring your hands to your hips for a moment while we pause. Feel the action of the pelvis. If you lean forward and let your hips come back, you're going to fold at the hips. Even though one is outstretched straight, the other's bent, they're still getting a crease in the front. So you're going to eliminate those creases by rising up, opening the fronts of the hips, bring the ribs back, use your glutes to keep the hips forward, and then reach your arms long. And then from here, we're going to side bend without landing and try to invoke an actual side bend, flexion in the spine. So it's not just a tilt, but actually some slinky, bendy fun. And then with that, if you're feeling up for it, hands behind the head, just increases the challenge. It's like you've got a little Pilates instructor in the room with you, Amanda. And again, pressing your head back into your hands, ribs back over the pelvis. And then one more time, coming all the way up. Reach the arms wide if they're not, and then side bend all the way out to your side stretch. This is like our modified side plank. Reach long, create space along that left side now. And then we're going to turn both hands to the mat and bring yourself into plank. Okay, so I think I cued the right leg on the other side, so we're going to lift the left leg here. And then flex the spine, push the mat down, lift the chest, knee to nose, and then reach back. And again, lift and reach and lift and reach. Land the toes, land the knees. Find your child's pose and breathe. And then we'll come forward over the hands, toes tucked under, back to plank. Hold and breathe. Lift up out of the hands. Feel your whole body. Inhale for space. Exhale for ease. Land your right knee down. Pivot on that knee. Reach the left arm up to the sky, finding your way into that side bend. And then we flow right back up to that high kneeling. Pull both knees in. And then you can stay high kneeling or sit to your heels. And we'll grab our band and just finish where we started. Take your hands through that big open heart circle and stretch. And just feel into the wholeness of your shoulder girdle, letting it all expand and sort of melt in this way with all that heat generated by your work. And then we'll finish with the arms to the back. Release the band there, and then take your arms through a big circle, connecting the palms at the top, hovering your heart up to meet your hands, and we'll finish right there. Thank you, friends. Once again, thank you for joining me. It's always an honor to have you. I hope that you enjoyed class and have a wonderful day. If you have any questions or comments or feedback of any kind, leave it in the comments below. And if you'd like to contact me more directly, you can find me on my website at arwenbrooke.com. And finally, if you aren't already following me on Instagram, you can do so at arwenbrooke_Pilates. Awesome. Thank you. Have a wonderful day and hope to see you soon.